Yeah. So this is an interesting topic because not everybody knows how to do this. So anyway, I'll let you go ahead and take it from here.
All right, awesome. So yeah, today, Kevin, you're right. I'm going to be talking about how to run ads on TikTok and how to build a global D2C brand and do it now. And so usually brands are in this kind of pool here where they're in a single sales channel, they're running maybe mostly on Amazon, and I kind of consider it like fishing, where you're fishing in a specific pond and you might have a lot of fish, you might catch a lot of fish, meaning a lot of sales, but there's always a grass is always greener. There's always another channel that you can expand to, and that's just like so now getting into it, why do you need to consider short form ads, TikTok Shop, or TikTok ads in general? And so initially, you know, it's good to know that TikTok is really just in the early stages of what like a D2C platform should be. So they're still tripping over some wires, they're still figuring things out. But despite that, they've tripled year over year, and they've got about $33.2 billion in that one market through GMV, which is just gross volume for the products on that space. And so the other thing is 68.1% of commerce on social media is attributed to TikTok Shop. And all of that to say, who really cares, right? At the end of the day, good brands are competitive. And if you're on a single channel, other competitors are on a multi-channel or doing a multi-channel strategy, either through organic ads, through influencer ads, through affiliate TikTok ads, or just through their organic TikTok Shop SEO and live approach. So there's so many different ways that you can sell when you're thinking about a multi-channel approach that isn't readily accessible if you're just, for example, on Amazon. And that's why I put together a little checklist for you. And I think that it's essential that you follow this checklist if you're thinking about moving to a platform like TikTok ads. And those things are, you need 10 new creatives per week, which is just the perfect amount for you to test new angles, new hooks, about $3,000 a month in ads budget. And that's just ideal, just so that you can test the various creatives that you're making, so that you can hone in on what already works, and you can find new things that work. I would also suggest a list of 100 new creators per month, because some of them aren't going to accept, but also so that you can create more content. And it's not just you or a small set of people producing angles and different demographic representations of your content. You also want a Shopify store or some type of site that's well optimized, because a lot of that halo effect when somebody exits off of, for example, your TikTok page or your TikTok shop, will probably look at your site when they're clicking on your bio. So you're going to want to make sure that that's optimized. Of course, you've got your registered TikTok business, your ads manager, and your TikTok shop is registered and optimized as well. I would also suggest that as much as possible, you want to have posts going out daily on social media, so you have some type of traction and that you're being consistent in that way. So how to run TikTok ads. And there's a lot of people that know or claim to know a lot about TikTok ads, but we've run numerous TikTok ads over the past couple of years. And really the best results come from GMV max campaigns. And GMV max campaigns are very similar to the AI model version of campaigns. For example, your Advantage Plus campaign on Meta. It uses AI in the ads platform to maximize your sales and tries to make sure that you're within the right target when you're putting out your ad. So if you have a really good ad and it's clear what you're trying to deliver and who you're trying to deliver that to, GMV ads or GMV max ads helps you find the target, helps connect that with all the data that they have. Quick best practices are, when you're testing campaigns, you have to test quite a few creatives. And so I talked about like the budget and what that looks like. But initially, you want to do a weekly test of around 5 creatives, and each of those creatives should be spending around $20 per day. In fact, that's probably the minimum for GMV max ads. Now, before a few months ago, if you wanted to run TikTok ads for your TikTok shop, there's an option that you could run individual video ads, and then there was an option for you to run GMV max ads. Now, in the past few months, that's changed to only GMV max. And that sometimes affects the results from your ads if you don't know what to do. And so my best suggestion is to continue to create more creatives with the winning products that you already have data for. Whatever that channel is that you're already selling in, the more creatives that you can do for winning products that you know have some competitive edge or advantage are going to be helpful. The thing that I would avoid when running TikTok ads is avoid the super hard infomercial or your typical UGC that you might be getting from an Amazon UGC platform or something similar to that, because a lot of the people who are on TikTok, customers who are buying on TikTok, are going to see what is authentic and what isn't authentic, and they're going to figure that out quite quickly. But like I said, TikTok ads are cool. GMV max is nice, and knowing about the technicalities of it is its own library of things, but it's not going to save you, meaning it's not going to get you to the place that you want to be if you don't have certain foundational stuff in line for you to make more sales. And what that ends up being is your GMV campaigns tend to take some budget, and that means you lose some initial profit and when you're trying to test campaigns, and that's to be expected. But in the long term, you're going to need to correct that profit. So and get more sales. And so the best way to do that is by having good creatives that are captivating, authentic. And that's usually where most brands say, okay, I give up. I don't know what's going on. I've run the ads. I've spent the money. I've tried XYZ thing, and it's just not working for me. And that's what usually tells them, okay, TikTok doesn't work. And you know, by that same vein, it's like, Meta ads on all the other social medias must not work as well. I'm going to go back and stay on Amazon. And just like I said, when you're fishing in a specific pond, you can catch the same fish. But if you want to go out and expand, you have to be willing to figure out what type of additional measures and tactics you can use to increase the amount of customers you have. And that's just the basic logic behind it. And so, like I was saying earlier, like a good creative isn't just UGC. It's not just, hey, today I'm doing this and you guys have to check this out. It's more of a flow. And usually good creatives have a well planned out copy. So somebody's writing the content behind it, even if it's not fully scripted. There's effective hooks and multiple tries of different hooks that get the specific ICP, ideal customer profile, and demographic honed in on. And then there's quick cuts where there needs to be quick cuts so that your attention stays locked in, and that your demographic is also, and age range is also considered. A few other things, if it's not any of the things that I mentioned, is, you know, you might just want to do an us versus them, which has worked very well in the past. And then others like this one with the person pouring the bottle, which I was going to show you a video of, but is a montage. And it's definitely not AI. You don't want to try AI, or you don't want to expect too much of AI right now, because like I said, a lot of people can already tell that it's not authentic content. So really TikTok is more of an authentic and quality type of platform where most of the engagements and sales come from something like your brother, or somebody like your brother, your sister, or your friend selling your product. And demonstrating that well. And so that can be the difference between 50 orders per day, 100 orders per day, or, you know, 1 order per week, or worse, like 0 orders at all. And like I said, you could be spending a lot of money and not getting any sales, even with the right targets. So that being said, good videos have at least 3 of these things. And so I've broken it down into like a little format. Most of the content that we're going out and that we're filming or that we're working on with other creators are hooks in the first 3 seconds. So use of that in its like right place, and then use curiosity, contrast. You want to show the product and show how you're providing benefit or solving a problem with that product, if it's applicable. You also want to use quick real life shots. Like I said, keeping things authentic, keep it pacey, keep it snappy so that people stay locked in. And a little side note here, the reason why you're keeping it at a faster pace than usual, even though it might not inherently seem organic, is you want to inspire a click on or a purchase rather than just have somebody digest a long form video, even if that long form video is a quality piece of content. And so you also want to present the solution with a transformation, showcase the product, like I said, solving a problem, and then use close-up reactions, be authentic as possible. Then, of course, deliver your clear CTA, but deliver it soft as well. Like there should be, time and place to interject that, and that's why your creatives as well as your creators are going to be your silver bullet in some cases when you're running ads. And so when you're scaling your TikTok ads, or when you're running them in general, there's two types of things that you have to work together to make sure that you're getting enough purchases. One is the targeting side. And TikTok is pretty interesting because you're able to target the age, which is usual, but also the device and like what type of household income and what type of hashtag they're searching for. And the audience targets are much better than they are on, for example, like Meta in this current stage of, comparing the two. But overall, it's the creatives that's going to drive the most effect. And so creatives are more like the lure, and targeting through GMV ads or GMV max is more like the pond in which you're trying to fish in. And so, like I said, as usual, the creatives are actually what holds the most weight when you're trying to drive a conversion, which is a little bit backwards than other PPC campaign platforms, because a lot of those might have more precise keyword targeting or interest targeting, and that's what makes or traffic targeting from a website, and that's what mostly drives sales or make sure you're going in the right direction. Whereas TikTok, being the only, like a video only campaign, is like, it's very, very important that you focus on all the call outs, all the specific keywords or audience targets within the words that you're speaking in the creative, or the words that are on the actual creative when you're running the ads. You've got to do quite a few of them. So many agencies can easily grow sales with ad spend. And so, it's easy to get sales, but it's harder to grow LTV and profit. And fewer know how to launch a brand from scratch. And that's kind of what we've been working on for the past couple of years now, is how do we take somebody from 0 to 1, or from 0 to 50 to 100 orders per day. And that's that whole process of creating a good and forever content engine. That's what I call the forever content engine. When you're creating enough creatives, enough pivots, and enough edits and posts on social media to produce sales. And so the content flywheel is a mix of creatives, promotions, and offers, which translates to like a funnel of short form video, your ad strategy after that, and then email marketing at the very bottom, where you're capturing everybody that opted in or made a sale on your halo effect. You're making sure to do promotions based on that flow. And so some short form video, which I was going to share, but I think I'll save for another time, is DIY type of videos, indirect lifestyle type of videos, how-to videos, us versus them, which Prime, which is a competitor new competitor to Gatorade actually does really, really well. I urge you to check that out, especially if you're in a CPG or supplement space. And then review-based content. So just people giving an authentic review. A big issue that I see in the social media space in general, as well as TikTok, is going with a too much of a branded approach. So a lot of the times when you're focused on optimizing conversion rate and when you're optimizing your graphics, your branding, your packaging, you're thinking all these things are going to, contribute to more sales. But when you're posting that on social media, most of the time, people aren't going to engage with it, which ultimately ends up being wasted time on your end and less conversion. So try not to be so branded to where it's not producing any entertainment value or engagements. That being said, there's two different strategies that I often see. The one that gets more people sales faster, and the one that doesn't get people sales, and that's that like one order per week type of creative. And that usually is for not testing enough of angles within a shorter timeline. And so my little tip for that is try new angles every single week, use hooks, including problem and solution, inspire a click, not just a complete watch. So being conscious of what your demographic and how long a video is going to be, and then target your demographic in your call outs and your headlines. And in the corner here, I have a little map of, A to Z from organic to email marketing, this full flow on how to optimize your content for your brand. And that can be found by subscribing to our website. That being said, on one hand here, we have your typical creative where somebody has one angle and they're testing that same angle. And then your success path where it's the same product, but they're testing various types of content, various types of angles, and that's where you see the most success. That being said, at the very end of all of this, when you've collected your data, you want to make sure that your email marketing has bundles, giveaways, and events. And what you're really doing is your email allows you to generate more LTV, builds reputation, keeps you relevant, find your true audience. So the people who are really enjoying your product, your true culture, your true tribe is living on your email list. And it adds MRR through subscription. So a lot of brands have the ability to add to their AOV, to a bunch of things with their email marketing, which is also a benefit of having a multi-channel approach as opposed to a single channel approach where, for example, Amazon would be that case. That being said, if you want to find out more, you can find us at viralbrandworks.com. And that's all we do is we scale brands on social media, specifically brands who are on single channels like Amazon. And yeah, you can also find me on LinkedIn and on my YouTube channel. That's all.
Awesome. So one question I think some people might be having if they're kind of deciding whether either to get into TikTok or whether to invest more in TikTok is what type of products do well? And are there any type of products that don't do well on TikTok with ads?
Yeah. So I love that question because I get it a lot with Amazon brands. TikTok specifically is better with video. So if you can demonstrate your product well, or if you can highlight benefits easily, then your product probably has you have a higher rate of success there. So a lot of those products are usually, well, there's tons, but they're usually supplement brands, CPG brands. There's a lot of brands in the clothing
When you say
space.
CPG brands, give me some examples of the type of products.
So consumer packaged goods like bars, chips, drinks, that type of thing. And then you have like I said, your clothing brands, tech brands as well work very well. Pretty much all the brands that you can showcase and that you can showcase against other brands work pretty well.
Got it. So would it be fair to say something that needs a little bit more explanation, or they need to visualize it?
Yeah, so an easy way to kind of like weed out your product from, a TikTok shop or TikTok ads approach specifically would be products that you're purchasing out of necessity.
Hmm. Okay. Got it. So if you're
Or
selling
that,
plastic forks and people don't, and unless there's something special about your plastic forks that you can demonstrate, it might not be the best thing for TikTok shop.
right. So for example, like we work for a different project right now with somebody who sells rain gauges, and that's pretty hard to sell. Products like that and products like, yeah, forks.
Oh, gotcha. Although you're saying the rain gauge is hard to sell in TikTok shop.
Yeah, that one is a bit harder to sell just because it's not easy to demonstrate as much.
Unless it's raining and they get a good view of it, I
Right,
guess.
or unless like you're gonna, and it's really like so there's a bunch of factors. We're getting into a place where it's like we need to be a bit more analytical, I guess. But um, there's a checklist, right? Like, and most of it's going to be, is there desire um, in the like worldwide social media web
Mhm.
where people have interest in your product?
Yeah.
Like, for example, like earbuds or ear, um, like sound products or just speakers would work well too. But um, it's really like, does your demographic live there? Does your target audience live there? What's the age and demographic? How many people? And then can you make video representation with your product?
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So really, what it comes down to is, can you easily, quickly, and succinctly demonstrate your product with video in a compelling way?
Yeah, and it should be um, less niche than it should be less niche. And so, for example, you had mentioned in your discussion, like selling USB cables or selling some type of cables.
Yeah.
That could be something that you make video content for, but is it going to be the type of content that's worth making where, your audience lives there? Probably not, because there's a lot of competitors. The other thing is I can go out and purchase that like at my convenience store, for example. That's going to be yeah, it's case by case, but I mean, I guess that's an example.
Okay. Good deal. All right. So if somebody wanted to learn more or take the next step, what would they do exactly?
If they want to take the next step, they would go to my Calendly link, which I can put up on the screen, or they can take a look at our website, which also has an opportunity to fill out a survey